Well, look who just got home. What's up, party animal? You. My buddy Jaw's home. How are you guys today? It's your old pal Jordan the Lion, and boy do I have a fun trip today planned. It's been heavily requested. I think this dude's among the top of the coolest people that ever lived. And I found a bunch of great pictures of him at his house. So we're going to go out. We're going to see one of the Hollywood mansions of Elvis Aaron Presley. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now.
Now, I always have back problems. And one of the weird things is I actually am one of those oddballs that believes in astrology. And they always say that people that are Leos tend to have like back issues. And I just always have. And I woke up today, like I do most days, where my back was so stiff I almost couldn't move. And I'll get back spasms during the day and stuff. And I just noticed that my bed now is kind of like sagging right where I lay. And then it dawned on me, I'm like, oh man, I've had this bed for like 10 years. So luckily I know a guy who owns a mattress store, and he used to have his store used to be a chain. He used to have like 27 stores, and now he only has one. It's a long story, but he was known for his commercials, and South Park actually parodied this guy. And he's always told me like, hey, and if you ever need a bed, hit me up. I'll finance one. You'll get it cheap. I'll cut you a good deal. So I may have to hit him up now. I mean, I read online that you're only supposed to have a bed for like 7 years. So I'm 3 years past, and with somebody with back problems, I think I might just have to bite the bullet and see if I can get a bed that I could pay like 30 or 50 bucks a month on, you know? And if there was any doubt as to how cool I think Elvis is, when a friend of mine was moving to New York City, giving away every possession in his over-cluttered, hoarded apartment, the only thing that I wanted was his Velvet Elvis. And the reason I wanted it was because this right here is my favorite era of Elvis, and that's the Elvis that we're going to see today. We're going to go to his house on Hillcrest that he lived in from 1968 until 1973. And this house, this would have actually been the first house that Lisa Marie lived in. Elvis himself would say that he spent an equal amount of time, 50% of the time in Hollywood and 50% of the time in Memphis at Graceland. So we're going to actually see where Elvis, Priscilla, and Lisa Marie in their earliest days of being a family lived. Let's go. Well, we're sitting on the Sunset Strip, headed our way, Elvis's way. Well, I cannot tell you guys how excited I am to see this, because even more than Elvis's music and his films, what I appreciate the most about Elvis was his complete ability to be his own man. I mean, this guy created his own style, lived his own way, got to have all of his best friends hanging out with him for all of his life. And this is just one of those cool houses that almost all of my favorite moments, everything that I admire about the guy, almost all of it happened here, because this is the era of Elvis that I think defines who he was. Let's go take a look. Now, when I come out to do vlogs, I never bring notes or a script or anything like that. It all comes right off the top of my head, but today I actually found a ton of photos right out in front of his front gates when he would meet with fans and sign autographs. So I'm gonna try and match up as many of them as I can. Now, this is awesome because this house was actually slated to be demolished a few years ago, and it got saved. Don't ask me how, I couldn't tell you, because it almost seemed completely unlikely. Unfortunately, the man who founded the Hard Rock Cafe had bought this house, had bought this property, and he is known for buying famous celebrity estates and tearing down the house and replacing it with his own property. Somehow, it didn't happen here. This is so cool. Now, when I say that this is the era of Elvis I love, let me explain. Now, he actually bought this house in 1967 for $400,000. And wow, man, can you believe it? Elvis's house. And this was really important because that was the end of his MGM contract. He had been waiting out this contract. The whole reason he was even doing movies for so long was because the Colonel was kind of making him. And he had been just writing out the contract. I even found a press conference in 1970 where he's saying, like, I couldn't wait for it to end because I really miss performing in front of people, and to the point now where I'm almost nervous to do it. So this was the era where his contract ended and he was coming back to being the Elvis that we all knew and loved, the guy who was performing in Vegas. My favorite Elvis, the guy who recorded Live at Madison Square Garden in 1972. To me, that is just one of the best live albums ever. You get a rendition of Suspicious Minds that is so powerful that you can almost see Elvis doing karate kicks on the stage and chopping his scarf and hoorahing all over the place just by listening to it. He also does this amazing version of American Trilogy, but this was also the time where Elvis started wearing the white jumpsuits, and he said that the reason he did it was because he always felt so much more comfortable in his karate gis that he wanted to have something that basically reminded him wearing his gis. Now, one of the cool things about living here was that he always had all of his boys that lived here, and Priscilla lived here, and Lisa Marie lived here. And Elvis was known for loving his fans. And there are so many pictures of him right out front here signing autographs. In fact, right here, right directly where this part starts to come down and where these two bars meet, there's a picture of Elvis right there with his hand going across, touching right here. There's a really amazing photo of Elvis right here in a pose like he's gonna karate fight someone. And then there's a really awesome photo of Elvis standing right here signing an autograph. There's a photo of Elvis signing an autograph right here. There's a photograph that I found of Elvis right here getting into his car. And then you see where that little tree is. There's actually a photo of Elvis, and that looks like a newer tree. It looks like they've planted that, but there was another tree there, and you can actually see Elvis standing right there with that tree in the background. And I mean, to think of it, this was a whole new chapter of his life. I mean, the dude was... Many people like kind of scoff at his movie career, but he was one of the highest paid actors of that day, and even though they were kind of teeny bopper movies, man, you can tell by looking around at the world today, that stuff is always sold. And that's what he started out as when he was, you know, performing in the 50s and stuff, and this was just a whole new era. He had been in the military, and it's pretty cool because in that same press conference, they try and pick his brain about being a celebrity and his points of view on life and things. And they actually say, like, what do you think about people that are burning their draft card? And he said, I'm an entertainer. That's not for me to say. I don't need. My opinion doesn't matter on that. And they said, do you think all entertainers should feel that way? And he said, I couldn't answer that either. And then he also says in there, when they ask him, they're like, you know, how do you enjoy being a celebrity, you know, being an icon? And he said, being an icon and being a person are two different things. You know, being an image. And they said, well, how close is your image to you? And he said, well, an image is a tough thing to live up to, but I view giving autographs like, you know, it's part of my job. And I just, you know, I just do it and I just accept it. But if nobody ever asked me for an autograph again, I mean, I'd be sad. I'd miss it. How cool is that, man? The freaking king, Elvis. Golly, I almost just can't believe I'm getting to see this house, and I almost can't believe that it still exists. I mean, that's just, to me, that's so crazy. And I'm actually gonna put my green sunglasses on here, so when I give them away at the end of the 100 days, somebody will have a pair of sunglasses that sat on Elvis's gate. Now I assume somebody must live here, but it doesn't look like it's real inhabited, so. I guess that's good for me, but there is a picture of him kind of out in front of the house, but there's not a real great view that I can get of it. It looks like it would have been taken from inside the driveway, but this would have been his front door. And he lived here, like I said, until 1973, and then he moved over, ironically, to pretty much where Michael Jackson died, the house that Michael Jackson was found dead in. And when he and Priscilla split up, I believe Priscilla kept that house for many years and lived in it, and then sold it a few years ago, or pretty recently. So thank God. I don't know, like I said, I don't know why that Peter Morton guy, the founder of Hard Rock Cafe, why he finds the need, especially considering what his business is, you know, considering the fact that his business is showcasing rock and roll artifacts, why he would buy up these properties and then demolish them. But for some blessing of God or whatever it is, this place still exists. Man. Let's just take one last look around. Like I said, you guys by this point will have already seen all the photos of Elvis right here that I was able to find. There's one of him right here. And then, like I said, the karate photo would be right here. And then he would be right here. With his, you can see the angle of this gate coming down and these two things right behind him. And then the car photo. And then the photo of him angled right there. And all these were actually fan photos. I wish I could give them credit, but I couldn't find who they all belong to. But hope they don't mind that I'm using their memories to help illustrate Elvis's history. And what I'm going to do is, on the drive up here, because it's kind of in a cul-de-sac, you can see as we drive this way, you can kind of see what his view is, and I'll show you why he lived here. It's an amazing view. You can see the ocean, you can see everything. I'll try and get try and walk up and give you a little bit of a view of his front door, since, I don't know, I'm probably skating the line of trespassing at that point, walking up this grassy hill thing, but if it's not, I'd just like to show it just for Elvis' sake. And I'll match up a photo of Elvis standing in front of it as well. That's about as far up the hill as I can make it. They sprinkled it down so it's all watery. See, there's the sprinkler. But you should, from that, be able to see, and that would have been the back patio to his house. And I'm gonna have to look into what the story is on this property that's kind of in the cul-de-sac to where he lives because it's beautiful. But if you walk over here and just take this little tiny trail up to this fence, you can see the back of his property. You can see some of the houses and stuff that he would have seen. And then, like I said, I'll drive up and I'll show you the other views that he had. And I actually found the perfect way to show you a view. There's a little walkway here that I can actually show you pretty much everything. This is pretty much what his view would have been. And it's a little hazy out today, obviously, but on a clearer day you can see the ocean. They're rebuilding a house here in the neighborhood, and I noticed, as a vlogger, you notice odd things, and I noticed that they have a camera perched up there time-lapsing it. I know it may sound silly, but man, that was so awesome for me. To get to see that, I'm so excited. I'm so happy. Now, I know you really can't see much, but as I was driving down the hill, I looked up and I noticed that you could see at least the side of the house, so I wanted to show you that. You can see the back fencing and gate and everything up there that we saw from the other side. Hey gang, I know this is a totally different vlog, but when I knew Shelly's personal assistant at that time, before working for Shelly, was Ringo's personal assistant, and she told me that this was Ringo's house, and you can probably see at the top all those stars going across. So, like I said, probably a different vlog. Maybe we'll save it for another time, but I just wanted to show you since I was passing by. Well guys, I should give you a little bit of an update. My hand pretty much is starting to heal up, and it pretty much feels back to normal. Like right where the tumor was in my finger, like kind of where the knuckle meets, that's still a little bit sore, but I'm finally able to really use it at full force now. Nothing too significant about these flowers, just adding a little color to your day. Well, I wanted to send a big happy anniversary out to my parents. They were married 27 years ago today, and I caught the garter. So that should tell you that that whole superstition about the person that catches the garter is the next one to get married, 27 years. Now we got to make an outing because the other day I was over at Ross. While I was at the grocery store, I just went upstairs and hit the Ross, and wasn't gonna buy any shoes, but I always just walk by there anyway just to browse. And as I'm walking through there, I look over and I go, wait a minute, those shoes look familiar. The shoes that I had found were $39.99, and they were the exact same shoes that Michael had picked out at Men's Warehouse for us to wear, that they were charging him $140 for. So Michael requested, I actually took pictures, sent it to him, and he goes, oh my God, man, you're right. So he asked me if I had spare time, if I wouldn't mind hitting a couple of Ross and just see if I could find all the shoes for the groomsmen there, since that's what we want. And he said if I can save $100 a guy on shoes, that's more money for shenanigans. So that's my mission today. I mean, I feel like I've already lived a full day just going to Elvis's house. Nothing's gonna ruin this day. Nothing can make this day any better, except for maybe finding a pair of pants that doesn't have a hole in the crotch and some cheaper shoes for Michael. Well, I'm making my way down to Ross. I'm gonna see if we can save Michael a little bit of money, take some of the pressure off. Actually, it's not even really pressure for him. It's more like just, he just wants to spend a ton of money on his, you know, bachelor party and his groomsmen and stuff like that, so whatever. I got the time, I can go down there and do it, and I can get Josh some food while I'm down here. That makes me the hero of the house, as you all know. I think John Juan's playing a show over in Venice tomorrow somewhere, so we may end up being over there. That might be part of the vlog tomorrow, so those of you who have watched my Shy Deck vlogs and gotten to see John perform, you're gonna love it. You know what's kind of interesting that I heard today was that it's no longer enforced anymore. I don't think it's even a code, but it used to be in the early turn of the century, the 1900s in Los Angeles, that you weren't allowed to build a building taller than City Hall. Well, unfortunately, this is never not a painful experience because the lines here are always pretty much insane, and when it comes to jeans, I'm pretty much looking for a needle in a haystack because I'm very particular on the color, the way they look, and to do it here when they're completely unorganized and everything on the racks because people are moving around so much, it's always painful. But we'll do it. We'll get through it. For one thing, I only wear dark jeans. Alright, I grabbed like 4 pair to try on. Now let's go check out the shoe section, which is over here. I'm like a magnet to it. Oh yeah, we have a winner. Oh my gosh, there's no line. I can't believe what I'm seeing. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Literally a 2-minute wait. There Ross had to go and make me look like a fool in front of all my viewers. Like a liar. I'm not completely sure they're not always following me. Well, good night, Lionhearts. I hope you guys enjoyed the vlog today. This was probably one of my favorite places that I have ever been. Something just felt special while I was there. I mean, it was the house of the king. The dude was just primo in my book, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I'm sure somebody will complain about how many pictures I put in there, but you know what? When it's Elvis, every single inch of that gate that he touched, if I could find a picture, I was going to put it in there. That's what he deserves. That's what Elvis fans deserve. And if you don't like it, maybe you should listen to more Elvis. Have a great night, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Daze with Jordan the Lion says, good night.